2022 Boston College Arts Festival. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator, Yifan Wang.
And I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator Assistant, Megan Cassidy.
And now you're listening to the Artist Podcast series presented by the Boston College Arts Council Office.
Hi, Julianna. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How about we start with a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, I'm Julianna. I am a junior and I am a neuroscience major and a studio art minor. I concentrate in digital art and photography. All of my works are digital art based and all of them were made on Photoshop.
Okay, so how did you get involved in the arts?
Well, I have always liked doing art. In high school, I always took art classes. And when I came here, I joined the Gavel and was a member of their creative team. So through that, I make a lot of graphics for their news articles. And that really got me to do more graphic work than photograph work. And then I decided to take photography 1 kind of on a whim because it looked really interesting to me. And I love the class so much. Shout out to Professor Muldowney. It was a great class. And then I decided to become a studio art minor because I liked it so much. And I also wanted to break from like neuroscience stuff as well and to unleash more of a creative side of things. And then I began taking more classes where I learned how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and all that. And it's definitely made a big improvement in how I can do my work like much faster and can do what I'm looking forward, like what my idea is more, because I used to use Microsoft Paint. So it's a big change from that. And I just really like making art because it kind of distracts me from the real world for a little bit and I can just do something different.
I agree. It's a great way to just escape and kind of show like your creative process and your creative talents. And like you said, it's a great way to a little break from the science-y, the STEM, and yeah. So you have 3 artworks that you submitted. How about we start with the one titled Transformation? So what's your thought process behind it? I noticed that it's a photo of Bernini's sculpture, Apollo chasing Daphne. Why you chose
Yeah, it has
this
a lot
picture?
to do with that. I made that in Issues and Approaches this semester and I really liked it a lot. So the prompt was like anything doing with transformation. And I took art history last semester and I really liked it a lot. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And I use a lot of what I learned in that in my work nowadays, and it definitely inspires me a lot. So when I heard transformation, that was like one of the first things I thought of. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make it more surreal? Because the story is very weird and is definitely very interesting. Basically, Apollo chases after Daphne. She doesn't like him back. And so she turns into a tree. Well, she asks her dad to turn her into a tree, which is really troubling. A weird story, but I thought it was cool. The sculpture itself is very interesting to look at because it's literally her turning into a tree. So I wanted to add some color to it and to make it more of a focus on this transformation and definitely make it look a lot weirder.
I really love how like the leaves are like stemming from her, and it kind of, I'm pretty sure in the original sculpture, like you can already tell that she's turning it into like the roots are coming out of her feet and fingers, I want to say.
Yeah, her hands have like leaves on them, I think. So it's like almost in the process. I do have it a bit more of like she actually is pretty close to it, but the sculpture is kind of like midway through.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Thank you.
So your next one, Spring. Why did you choose this? What's your thought process behind it?
So for my digital art class I took last semester called Introduction to Photoshop and Illustrator, we had a tarot card assignment. And I guess I've just really been interested in like this style of tarot cards. I don't necessarily like follow the practice too much. I've never even had a tarot card reading, but I find them to be like super interesting. And I love that style of art. So we did a style in class one time, which is not this one, but inspired me to do more work in that vein. And I'm also on the radio station. So this is actually the front of our program. So I designed it for that purpose. And I just thought it was really cool. I made like a sticker version of it. And then I kind of expanded off of that to make this. And I really just love the style of tarot cards. So I wanted to make something in that vein for the springtime.
Yeah, and it's kind of fitting because it's April and you're just in time for Arts Fest. Yeah, this one is really great. So why did you choose to do it in black and white? That's really curious because tarot cards usually have color. I was just really curious why you omitted the color.
Well, this is not as fun as it sounds, but it's because our programs are made in black and white to save money. But I also think it looked cool because it made it much more gothic and more dark. I do have a color version of it, but I decided to do the black and white because I just like the look of it more. It looks a lot more like old and really more kind of spooky, I feel like, too. But yeah, I just really like kind of the effect it has. It did look weird when I had like bright pink tulips in there with like bright blue water drops. Didn't really convey it as well. And I guess I looked at so many versions of it in black and white that I was like, yes, this is what I want to have it presented as.
Yeah, I really like that. And it kind of juxtaposes, if you want to get kind of like artistic, like the idea of spring and color, that spring is known to be the season that's full of color with all the flowers budding, like the tulips. And I know that the programs that you use are black and white, but it's kind of just cool to kind of extend that a little bit more.
I definitely think it's unexpected for what it should be conveying, but I definitely do see the springtime. I get the springtime feel of it, but it is a little bit not as normal for sure.
And your last one that you submitted, The Eyes of Mars. So this one kind of looks surrealist. So
yeah, so this one I also made in Issues and Approaches. I guess I just really liked what I was making. This one was inspired based on looking at other people's sketchbooks online. So I took like different components of things I thought were cool and I mixed it together. I kind of get like a Martian feel from it. I don't know. There's not really like dunes, I guess, on Mars. I had to read a book in high school called The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. And I don't know what connection my brain made with that, but I was like, this is what I feel like. It's like a surrealist future science fiction, like everybody's evolved to be just eyeballs. That's definitely not what it is, but I think it's definitely just really weird and out there. It's probably like the most surrealist thing I've ever made. Maybe that's why I like it so much, but I just think it's a cool. I had to use a limited color palette in that one too, just those 4 colors that all go pretty well together. But yeah, I was just inspired to make something really like weird looking that I have never done before. And I don't really know like how to explain it, like what feeling it's supposed to be. It's just something weird that I made and I really like the end result of it.
yeah, I really like that you use complementary colors, the kind of like yellow and blue. It really fits together. I'm curious as to why you chose those colors because I feel like if it's Mars, that's usually associated with like reds. So I'm
Yeah.
curious as to why you chose these 2 colors.
So once again, back to limitations. The assignment was like using an Alper square. So like this artist, Joseph Alpers, would make like squares using 4 colors over and over again. And then we picked one we had to replicate and then make an art piece using those colors. And I just always love like cool colors, like the blue and the purple combination. I think it's really pretty. I don't like yellow that much, but I love yellow when it is paired with purple or blue. So I feel like using a limited color palette can be helpful at times, and it definitely makes it more visually appealing. I feel like if I did more than 4 colors, it would be a lot. So I like how it's like continuity, also how I made all the eyes like be identical. I was debating between like, should it be identical eyes? Should it be like different looking eyes? But when I did different looking eyes, it looked really weird. And I guess in this like weird dystopian future where it's totalitarian and every eye looks the same, made it look more interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like, I don't know if you were getting at this, but kind of like almost unsettling a little bit with all the eyes like staring at you.
I just love like eyes in work for some reason. I don't know. I'm just drawn to like eyeballs. It's weird.
They do say the eyes are the window to the soul, so.
There you go. Yeah, I think they're very interesting.
So you mentioned surrealism a lot. So I was just wondering, would you say that that style or time period is like your main inspiration for your work, or is there another one that you're really inspired by?
So I generally cannot draw realistic things. The one style of art that I will never do is drawing because I suck at drawing and I cannot do it. So I kind of stray away from like realism and things that look like what they're supposed to because I cannot draw them. And I'm generally more interested in like abstract forms and like the creation of art that like you actually have to come up with and it's more creative versus like, here's a drawing I made of a thing in real life. And I've always loved like street art. This is definitely like not reflected in my work, but I'm a big fan of Basquiat. I actually have like a lot of his work here. And I just love things that are not what you would expect. And surrealism is definitely very fun. And I just love art when it's combining things. I've also been really interested in like taking Renaissance sculptures and like classic sculptures and then digitizing it somehow and pairing it with something unexpected. And I think I've just been drawn to it because it's something more that I can do, and it's definitely makes you be more creative, and you have to come up with things a lot more. And it definitely individualizes your work more than like, oh, look, we all drew, the same figure, which I can't do. So I respect that. But I just generally like being able to use creativity to come up with things, and then using the tools that I have on Photoshop and other stuff to make it actually happen.
Yeah, I'd say that you really do. In the first one, in Transformation, it's really cool to see like two different art forms, like taking from Baroque or other classical time periods and kind of developing them into more, I guess you would say, contemporary style. It's really interesting to kind of see like those two art time periods kind of coinciding together.
Yeah, I was confused, or like I didn't know if I should do anything to Apollo in that, because I was like, I had this great idea for what I should do to Daphne, but then I was like, I feel like he's missing something. Like, should I make him red? And then it just looked like worse and worse the more I did it. And then I just like kept asking around. I'm like, what do you think I should do? And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it. And I think, like you said, it's really cool because it creates this like disparity and this clash in the different worlds. Like if you showed someone in that time, like, wow, look at what I could make on my computer, instead of all these people that train for like their whole lives to do painting and stuff. And then it's like, look at this. So I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
So would you ever, I know you mentioned Basquiat, and he's a really great street artist, graffiti artist. Would you ever want to like try to do anything in his style, or maybe take a work of his and maybe digitize it?
Yeah, I just love his work so much. He had an exhibit at the MFA I went to. I was like begging to go to that, and it sold out like right away. But what I really like about his work as well is that it has a social issue aspect to it. So I try to, I mean, I guess I didn't really in any of these pieces, but I try to also incorporate like, feminism or like societal issues. That's what also draws me to it. And I feel like that in music as well. But I don't know, I think I am open to trying different art forms, like, seeing what other people are doing, trying to imitate it, and that creates even more ideas for what you can do as well.
So going forward in the future, is that what you want to aspire to do more, kind of emulate those themes?
Yeah, I mean, I had a certain style. I really like doing collage work digitally as well. I think that's very fun, although I did more like brushwork stuff for both of these. I feel like when you try different styles of art and you get outside of what you normally do, you are open to so many more options. So I definitely think like experimenting and trying to replicate people, or just being inspired by and seeing as much art and inspiration as you can, will definitely help you hone your craft and become, more diverse in what you're making. Like art history, I had all those ideas of what people had done, and it was a really interesting class, but I was a bit annoyed we didn't go over the modern stuff as much, because I love like the New York City 80s street art scene. Also Keith Haring, stuff like that too is really cool. I also love the work of Barbara Kruger, because that has the feminism aspect in it, and she was just really cool, like ahead of her time, combining collage stuff together. So that also was very influential for me too.
Well, thank you so much for submitting, and thank you for doing the interview. Can't wait to see your work hung up during Arts Walk, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Take care.
Bye.